Hi, this is Susan Adams. I'm a Deputy Commissioner here at the Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning. Today, in this presentation, I'm going to be sharing information that was previously shared in in-person sessions across the state. We wanted to record the information so that if you were unable to come to the session, or if you wanted to hear it again, you'd be able to access it. So this presentation is going to be focused on information for child care programs and other public providers. So that could be other public providers, Head Start pre-K providers, Department of Defense or university child care programs who have pre-K, other providers who are not local school system providers. If you are a local school system project director for pre-K, there's a separate presentation that you should recorded that you should listen to. The information in the sessions is tailored to your program type, and you want to listen to the one that's going to give you the information that's most accurate for your program type. This session is going to focus on the child care programs and other public providers. Today I'm going to focus on the pre-K budget for the upcoming school year and then talk about some important things that you'll want to know that'll be helpful in starting your school year off in the right direction. So let's get started. Let's talk about the 2024-2025 school year pre-K budget. It's really a great budget year for pre-K. There was significant support and investment in the pre-K budget from the governor and the state general assembly. There was increased funding to the program, and it focused on funding to come to pre-K programs to increase program access, meaning to serve more children, to provide teacher salary parity, meaning that pre-K teachers should be making the same that teachers in K-12 settings do, and then maintain program quality. The increase in the pre-K budget is a little over $97.6 million, so a really significant investment, and you should feel really good about that because that speaks to the good work that you do with your pre-K children and families every day. And programs that aren't doing a really good job don't get $97.6 million. So I hope you feel good about that. Most of that funding is going directly to local programs to go out to you to support your high quality pre-K classroom. So your pre-K budget has two buckets to it, operating and then salary, and I'm going to talk about changes for both of them in this presentation. First, I'm going to talk about operating funds and the changes there. Operating includes three components: funds for classroom, funds for benefits, and then funds for transportation. You'll notice that transportation says new. We've always been able to give transportation funds out, but there's a change in the way they'll be calculated for the upcoming school year, and now they'll be included in your operating budget funding coming to you, and I'll talk about that today. The first part of your operating funds that we're going to talk about are your classroom operating funds. These are funds that come to you as an annual amount per class, and they're funds to support the operation of your classroom. That can be both the things you need in your classroom: furniture, chairs, paper, glue, paint. It can also be technology that's needed for your classroom and things for outdoor play. but it can also be costs that you have at your program for operating a pre-K classroom. Things like electricity and water. Those things can be prorated to pre-K's portion of that, and you can use your operating funds for those costs. So two things happened in the budget. One was the maximum class size was reduced to 20 students per class, 18 students for inclusion classrooms. Prior to this, it was at 22. This past year, school year, we piloted at 20, and now we're at a 20 maximum class size. So we're really excited about that. That's one of the things teachers have requested. The one thing to remember is that your classroom operating is a per child amount. And so we could apply a proration to your operating classroom, meaning that for every child under that maximum enrollment of 20, we could take a per child amount from your funding. We make that determination after looking at the roster 1 data. We haven't prorated since prior to the pandemic. And I do not know if we will this year. We never prorate the August and September payments, so the earliest we could apply a proration would be with your October payment. We'll make that decision after we look at the roster 1 data. If we are going to be applying proration, we'll let you know. The second really exciting thing that happened here was an annual increase of classroom operating funds specifically for your provider type. That increase is 24% of the current operating amount. So this is in addition to what you got this year. For pre-K providers operating in a metro zone, that increase is $6,830.80. For pre-K providers in the non-metro zone, the increase is $5,209.09. If you're unsure if you're a metro or non-metro, in the metro or non-metro zone, you can check in our pre-K operating guides and also on the pre-K rate chart, and you'll be able to tell that. Now I'm going to talk about operating benefits. Operating benefit funding comes to you to support benefits for your lead and assistant teachers for your pre-K program. Those can be things like maybe health insurance, retirement that you pay to your teachers, can also include other benefits like a reduction in child care, free child care, vacation days or sick days. The types of benefits that you offer at your program are determined by you, and this funding comes to you to support those costs. Benefits are paid as a percentage of total salary, and there are no changes for benefits for your lead and assistant teachers in the way they're calculated. It's 23.76% of the total salary received for each lead and assistant teacher. So at your classroom level, you would get 23.76% of total salary. The next part of your operating funds is operating transportation. Remember, I said there was a change in how transportation cost will come to your program, how transportation funding will come to your program. In the past, transportation funding has always been calculated based on the number of Category 1 students that you transported. And you reported this information on your roster, and then transportation payment was calculated based on that data. There's a change in the upcoming school year budget that changes how transportation is allocated to programs. in the hope that it will allow additional programs to provide transportation. So in the 25 pre-K budget, transportation funding will be provided for all students. The amount that is received will increase to $80.78 per student annually. So that's the total amount for the year, and it will be for all students, not just Category 1 students. This transportation funding will also be provided to all programs, whether or not the program provides transportation. And the transportation funding will be paid in your monthly payments beginning in August. So that'll be 80.78 times your enrollment. Additionally, a per child proration for less than 20 students could be applied, since this is a per child amount that comes to you. So the difference here is that transportation will be paid for all students, that 80.78 annually, and it will come to programs in their operating transportation funds in their monthly payments. Now I'm going to talk about startup and replenishment funds. So these are special allotment payments that are paid to programs. They don't come in your monthly pre-K budget, but it is funding that comes to you that is for operating costs, but specifically for purchasing materials, furniture, manipulatives, all the things for your pre-K classroom. This funding must be spent on purchasing things from the pre-K basic materials list. The first big change is an increase in the startup money for new classes. So we pay a startup funding to a program that's getting a new classroom, and for many, many years since the beginning of the program, we paid $8,000. That has been significantly increased to reflect the true cost of setting up a pre-K class. So new classrooms will be funded startup funds of $30,000 from $8,000. So $30,000 per new classroom the first year that class is funded. In addition, we'll also pay $15,000 classroom replenishment grants every 5 years. So how will that be allocated? Basically, the agency will be receiving each year enough funds to pay this $15,000 classroom replenishment grant to about 1/5 of classrooms. So that means each year we'll pay out that to about 1/5 of classrooms. Right now we're figuring out the cycle of how that will go. We'll start with oldest classrooms first, and you'll receive funding, that $15,000, so half of startup, to replace things that need to be replaced in your classroom. This could be classroom furniture that's, gotten broken or worn out. Rugs often need to be replaced. It could also be to buy new books or new manipulatives or big ticket items that you don't have the funding to purchase things every year with. We haven't yet determined the cycle for that funding to go out, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know. And one thing to note is that this classroom replenishment funding is attached to the individual classroom, not at the program level. So if you have 5 classrooms, you won't be receiving funding for all of your 5 classrooms at the same time. You'll be receiving it based on when the classroom was established, and will pay on that kind of anniversary every 5 years. As soon as we've determined the cycle, we'll let you know, and we'll also be letting you know if who's going to get paid this year and then when we can project that your program will get paid. Now I'm going to move from the operating portion of your budget to the salary portion of your budget. And I'm going to talk about salary for lead teachers and assistant teachers. I'm going to break down the changes and then talk to you about the process of how we'll pay them. So the first thing to know is that there'll be an increase of lead and assistant teacher salary to improve salary parity between teachers in pre-K and teachers in K-12. There are three things that's happening here: an increase to the base salary for both lead and assistant teachers. We're going to move lead teachers to the K-12 training and experience scale. So we'll be moving from the pre-K credible years of experience scale to the K-12 training and experience state salary schedule. And we're also going to have an increase in the assistant teacher salary to help to provide pay parity with K-12. So what's that look like for lead teachers? Two things have been budgeted here. One is that increase to base salary, and that'll be an increase of $2,500 at all approved credential levels. What's an approved credential level? That's going to be all the credentials which are approved ones for pre-K. So a bachelor's degree in early childhood, T4 certification, T5 and higher certifications. What if you have a teacher on a waiver? A waiver is an approved credential, and the $2,500 would be added to that. But let's say you have a teacher that has an insufficient credential. That's not an approved credential, and we will not be adding $2,500 to that salary. The second thing that will happen is we're going to move to the state salary schedule for teachers, which is established in the state budget and set up by the Georgia Department of Education. This means that in essence, three things will happen. We'll move to the K-12 base salary for certified teachers. So just like pre-K has base salaries, there are base salaries based on the credential level in K-12. The K-12 training and experience salary steps will replace the pre-K credible years of experience, or CYE salary steps. And it also adds a T6 and a T7 certification level at that base salary and salary steps. So teachers that have those credentials will receive higher compensation. Now I will tell you this is probably the messiest part of implementing the budget changes for the upcoming school year, because there's some significant differences between the pre-K CYE scale and the K-12 teacher salary or training and experience scale. Now, the differences make sense for the different two salary schedules, but it does mean there's some differences in how teachers are being paid. The K-12 salary schedule benefits teachers that have higher credentials and benefits them for more years of experience. So that K-12 teacher salary schedule really benefits teachers across the course of their teaching career, and that's really where we want our pre-K teachers to be. The pre-K teaching salary schedule, though, is different, and it gives higher salaries for different things. The pre-K salary schedule was added in 2011 when the program was having some significant issues with teacher retention because of budget cuts. And so we needed to encourage teachers to come to pre-K to teach. So the pre-K base salary and the pre-K salary steps benefit teachers with lower credentials. So at that beginning end of the spectrum, and then also teachers with less years of experience. going to encourage teachers to come to pre-K. But because of that, there's some differences within the scale, and it actually means that we have pre-K teachers that are making more currently than they would in the K-12 system. And we don't want to pay teachers less, and we don't want to pay less funding to you for those teachers. So as we talk about this and the way we're rolling it out, I'll let you know and want you to remember two things. Moving to T&E overall is great for teachers, and we support that. But there's some messiness. And then second, pre-K is not going to be taking away any salary or compensation to you for teachers in this move. So let me talk to you about what that move to the K-12 salary schedule will look like. So let's talk about the move for lead teachers and what that will look like for us to move from the pre-K CYE scale to the K-12 state salary scale with the training and experience salary steps. Because of the complicated nature of this move, we're going to do this in 2 phases, and this will be about how the funding comes to you. In August and September, your pre-K payments for your lead teachers will be calculated in the following way. It'll be FY24 base salary plus that $2,500 increased salary, that increase to the base, plus the FY24 CYE supplement. So 24 base plus that $2,500 base salary increase plus whatever CYE supplement they got during the current school year. Those 3 things will be added for your salary that comes to you in August and September. We won't be adding a step until they move to the K-12 state salary schedule, which will be in October. Then beginning with the October payment, lead teacher salary will be calculated based on that FY25 state salary schedule for teachers, so the K-12 one. We'll move teachers over there and look at the new base salary and the step based on their years of experience, and then find where they'll be on that. Now, if moving over means that the teacher is eligible for an increase, so meaning that she would make more or he would make more in the K-12 state salary schedule, then the funding will be adjusted for October to May payments for that salary. That'll be the teacher's new salary. In addition, a positive retro will be paid for August and September for the salary, the increase in salary that the teacher should have gotten in August and September. So you can pay that out to them in October. If a teacher's current salary is more than the new salary step in the K-12 system, meaning they make more when we calculate their salary in August than they would in the new salary schedule, then the salary won't be adjusted and no negative retros will be taken. That teacher's salary would stay where it's at and in essence be frozen for the rest of the year and when they come back the next school year until that teacher is eligible for a salary step with an increased amount. And how would that happen? It would mean the teacher added years of experience, so they made another year, and they taught another year and it moved them to another step, or they got a higher credential and that moves them to another step. But if there's no increase for the teacher, then the teacher will stay at her salary. That's what you'll get, and you'll pay them then for the rest of the year. And we won't take a negative retro, so only positive retros. We'll be posting some additional support for you to be able to know what your teacher's salary is and how to communicate that to your teachers. All right, now I'm going to talk about salary for assistant teachers, and I'll tell you that the math is much easier here. For assistant teachers, there was a significant increase in salary of 27.5%, so we're very excited about that. Governor Kemp put in an increase in his state budget proposal of $2,500, so the same amount as lead teachers. Then there was an additional increase that was added during the legislative session of $3,051. And there you'll see the new total salary for assistants, which is $25,741.38. So for your assistant teacher position, that's the new required total salary. The funding for salary increases here will begin in August. So you'll get that $25,741.38 divided across your 10 payments, and you'll pay that out to your assistant teacher positions. So we've talked about a lot of changes for the pre-K budget for the upcoming school year, and they're all great, and they're increases to your per classroom funding amount. So some budget next steps. The estimated per classroom rate chart will be posted in June. That's the chart that'll help you identify an estimated amount that you'll be receiving for your classrooms based on your teacher credential and your zone. We're also creating an FAQ based on provider questions, and we'll have that posted on the Pre-K Project Director page. And then we're also developing a process for replenishment grants. That grant that's that's $15,000 per class to buy those replenishment items for your class. As soon as we have that cycle, we'll let you know so that you will know if you're getting paid this year or where in the cycle you'll be getting paid for your classrooms. So now I want to talk about some new processes for the upcoming school year. These are things that you need to know to be ready over the summer for the next school year, and things that are important for you to pay attention to. There's a big change that will happen over the summer for our pre-K program. For many years, we've used an IT system called PANDA. Well, we've used PANDA for over 20 years. PANDA will be transitioning into a new IT system called GAPREK that'll be live in July. So I'm going to talk to you about the things that will be accomplished in PANDA and then what that transition will look like in July. PANDA will be open until mid-June. In PANDA, we'll be completing all class moves and closures. We'll be sending out to you your funding notification. So you'll get a funding notification letter that tells you for the upcoming school year what sites and classrooms have been funded. In that notification, you'll get information about signing a new online user access form. This is a form that you'll need to complete with your grant signatory and your project director so that you can access the new IT system. You'll also have to complete the lawful verification of presence, and you've already received an email about that and need to go ahead and get that moving forward. And then if you have a new classroom funded, then you'll get startup funding for that new classroom, and that'll be paid through PANDA. And if you have a summer transition program class, you'll be able to finish all processes for that in PANDA with the exception of your funding reconciliation report. GA Pre-K will open the beginning of July, You'll get lots of information about how to access that system, but you'll get a welcome email with a link. As soon as you've logged into that system, it'll execute your grant agreement. So you won't be receiving your grant agreement in June, but in July. And it'll be executed in the new system through DocuSign. You'll be able to sign it electronically and return it. And once you've done that, it'll be available in the new GA Pre-K system. Post go live in July, you'll be able to get back into PANDA to complete your FY24 reconciliation reports. If you have a summer transition program, you'll be able to reconcile those funds in PANDA. Or if you have everyone had a pre-K funds that they received this past school year, so you'll have to reconcile those funds. Those will be done in PANDA, and we'll open PANDA back up for you to get into it and be able to reconcile your funding. And then everything from the 24 school year will be completed in PANDA, and then we'll be in the new GA Pre-K system for 25 and moving forward. So be looking for the funding notification coming to you through email. Make sure you're signing your online access agreement form and that you're doing your lawful verification of presence. All of those things have to happen in order for you to be ready for the new system and in order for you to be ready to be paid next school year. So you're going to want to make sure you've done those things. Another quick reminder is about requests for teacher credential waivers. The applications for the waiver extension and the new credential waivers will be available in July in the new GA Pre-K system. You'll be notified when the waivers are available for you to complete. There are two types of waiver requests. You can ask for a waiver extension, meaning you have an existing teacher on a waiver and you'd like to extend that. Or you may be applying for a new credential waiver, meaning you have a new teacher that doesn't meet the credential requirement and you'd like to ask for that to be waived. Again, you'll have to do that in the new GA Pre-K system, and you'll be notified when that's available for you to go in and access and submit those. I've given you a lot of information today, and I know some of it is new and you may have questions. If you have questions, please reach out to me directly through my email there, or you can reach out to our pre-K box, or you can reach out to your pre-K specialist and they'll be able to help you. Again, we'll be posting the rate chart and the FAQ, and it'll be on the project director web page. We'll help you understand the amount of your funding, and you can look at it for any questions you may have, but you can also reach out to us if you have questions. We're excited about the upcoming school year and want to do anything we can do to support you in being successful. Thanks for listening to this presentation, and I hope to talk to you again soon.